So how's today going? What do you walk us through today with your players? Will you meet with them, sort of coax them through the day? How's it going to go?
Yeah, well, we already did, Doug. We coaches got up this morning and met and went through a bunch of the film, and then players came in. We kind of regular watched the film. Went to the gym. Most of the guys carrying a lot of playing time are not really getting on the floor. The rest of the guys are doing their shooting and some group work and stuff.
One specific question: What does a guy like Norm sort of unlock for you when he has a game like he did last night, both offensively and defensively?
Well, I mean, I keep saying, Doug, that all these guys are critical players to our success and to us being the best version of ourselves. And we need it. We need some scoring punch from Norm. That's what he's kind of our off the bench. He's our off the bench guy to change the rhythm on offense or get us some transition or just he's just a different type of player and scorer than everybody else. So it was much needed. Certainly.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it as always. Have a good day.
All right, Doug. You too, man.
Going to go next to Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for coming on here. We've talked a lot about Kyle during this series for good reason. What about the nature of these games and how tough and physical they've been suits him and the physical qualities he has as a player? And why do you think this seems to be bringing out the best in him?
Michael, I didn't hear the first part of your question. Are you talking about Kyle?
Yes, Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about how well he's been and how good he's been. Maybe it's this series and the nature of it that seems to suit his style.
Well, he's played well, Michael. Obviously, he's played tough. It's a tough series. I think there's a number of guys on both sides that have risen to the occasion. Different games and different times. That's kind of how usually these playoffs work. So he's competed. It's been super competitive. We've had to fight really hard to stay in these games and scratch and claw away to some wins, and he's right up his alley.
You guys have typically given up more corner threes than normal throughout the season, at least more than normal teams, kind of the way your defense has been set up, at least as far as I'm aware. I think there's been 3 games in the series already that the Celtics have made 10 or more corner threes, which I think is 3 of a handful.
Thank you. You hear me?
A handful of them that have happened all season. I was just curious, is there anything you guys have to do to change your approach because of that, or is that just kind of a natural outgrowth of the way you guys are trying to defend it?
Well, I think there's a lot of give and take, especially when you're playing a super talented offensive team like they have, and they're putting a bunch of guys out there that can shoot and a bunch of guys that can take it off the deck. There's some give and take of what you're willing to try to take away and what you're willing to give up. I guess maybe it's take and give. But, there was a lot of them last night, and there was a lot in the first couple games, and I thought we had it under control. I think we trimmed it way down. One game, I'm not very good at keeping track of the games, but I think there was one game we only gave up 6, and then last night we probably gave up 20, which is a lot, man. I don't know. They're presenting a lot of problems. As you know, we're changing a lot of things and doing a lot of different things. They're really good. They're really good at organizing and getting themselves those shots.
You guys obviously, Nick, all year have been creative. You're throwing a lot of different zones out. You're trying different things, more than a lot of teams in terms of changing coverages and playing a lot of zone. How do you think that has changed the way that the game is kind of played with the amount of zone that you and other teams are throwing out there compared to, say, a couple of years ago?
Well, I think Tim, that that I think offense in this league has drastically changed in the last, let's say, 5 years. Again, if we go back probably 5 or 6 years ago and count up the total number of threes taken in a game and compare that with now, again, I don't know what that is, but it's probably almost double, or something like that than it was just 5 years ago. And I think that the offense changed drastically. The defense stayed pretty much the same for a while. And now I think the defense is starting to have to adjust to just such a different and drastic style of offensive play.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Have a good day, Tim.
Next question goes to Josh Lewenberg from TSN.
Hey, Nick. Hope you're doing well. Before the series, you had mentioned how surprised you were that these two teams haven't played each other in the playoffs before, given the recent success that both teams have had. Now that you're 6 games in, Game 7 tomorrow, are these the sort of things that rivalries are built on in sports and in the NBA, these long competitive series?
Well, I think so. I think that, again, we're close in proximity. We're, in the same division. Both teams have been in the playoffs, a lot of years in a row. This seems like the regular season matchups against these guys seem to be big moments, and we always talk about how big a game they are. And then you find yourself in a tough series like this, and it feels like a rivalry already, even though this is the first time we've met. I think a lot of factors have gone into that.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Going to go next to Eric Corrine from The Athletic.
Hey, Nick. Good afternoon. I'm asking this question with Pascal in mind, but it sort of applies to anybody. When you're this deep in a series and you've seen what's working against a defense, what isn't working, when you have somebody who's as important as Pascal is, how much do you want him to just be himself, who he was throughout the bulk of the regular season? And how much do you want him to use these 6 games as sort of an example of what he should be doing and what he shouldn't be doing?
Let's see. I mean, I don't really know. It's different than the regular season, I think. You obviously got to make some adjustments, Eric, to how they're playing and who's guarding who, and what we're trying to do. I think he played a really good game last night. I really do. I thought he played a really good game. He didn't make maybe as many as we all wanted him to, or he even wanted to, or whatever. But I thought he got to spots. His decisions were good. He had some opportunities, and I liked the opportunities a lot. Maybe it looked to me he's getting closer to finding some better spaces and better areas to operate from, and a better rhythm and tempo to his own game. Just need to go in now. He need to quit popping out and pop back in once in a while, and he'll be much happier.
Just broadly speaking, I mean, last night was a pretty good example of obvious frustration from Mark, like in the first half, and then you could see his sort of visible relief when he hit those first 2 shots in the second half. Do you sense any of the similar frustration from Pascal, or is he able to compartmentalize a bit?
No, I mean, I think there's frustrations a big, maybe a little too strong, Eric, right? I mean, but you're probably right, but leaning towards that, they just got to keep playing. Like I said, if we could win a game last night, there'd be possibly a lot more basketball to play, and another chance to, change the, your narrative about yourself and how you've played if you want to, if you need to.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
See you, Eric.
Going next to Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press.
Hi, Nick. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tim.
If you love sports, obviously Game 7 is the ultimate. It's as good as it gets. But when you are living and dying with every possession, do you allow yourself the chance to enjoy just being part of it for even a second tomorrow night? Like, I mean, how do you sort of compartmentalize, okay, this is the job and it's the game for our season versus, wow, this is really cool too. I mean, how much?
No, I think you do. I think certainly this is kind of why you coach. I'm not saying for a game 7 in general, but I'm just saying, the super competitive playoffs, a lot on the line. It's kind of the crazy love of a coach, right? To want to be in the middle of that and putting yourself through that. But that is the kind of love of coaching and love of competition. So yeah, there's some enjoyment. I mean, I think I said it last year, maybe even to you, that when we had to get on the plane and go back to Golden State for game 6 last year, after almost having game 5 wrapped up, I was like, man, I'm having fun. It's fun coaching in the NBA final. Let's go. And, I wasn't tired of being there. That's for sure. It was an enjoyable process, and I just got to go compete again.
Cool. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Tim.
Going to go next to Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star.
Nick, you said that you liked the shots that Pascal got. Was there forgetting how many went in necessarily, but was there a through line in those shots, in the opportunities as to kind of where he catches the ball, whether it's at a pick and roll or ISO, or the hesitation or not? Like what was working for him that you could see?
Well, I think Bruce, that the main thing for him is he gets them in a variety of fashion, ways. There's not like he's just for me, his game is getting some transition, getting it on some pass aheads, bringing the ball himself, playing some pick and roll, setting in the pick and roll, posting up, coming off cuts, coming off pin downs and curling into the lane. I mean, there was all that stuff, and that's the variety is what I liked. I think the part of the problem we had is, for whatever reason, he was going up and down the floor a lot in some of these games and not getting many touches. And then so we kind of force fed him into the post, because we wanted to try to get him some touches, and it was a little bit of the same all the time, like I think last night it was really unpredictable in a variety of ways, and that's where he excels.
Similarly, you wouldn't think that in games like those high leverage games that Kyle would be able to get the shots that he gets necessarily, because he's not as physically gifted as some of the kind of big shot taker makers in the league. He's done this in other games, right? He's done this in game 7s before. He did it in game 6 last year. How does he do that? How does he create all the good looks that he does get?
Well, he's got, there's some, I guess they're just his skills, Bruce. He's got a skill set of footwork and fadeaways and pull-ups, and, it's his skills that enables him to do that. And I think those skills, have improved over time too for him. He adds a few things to the thing. He's taking it to the rim pretty hard, bouncing people and scoring. He's got the turnaround. He's got the pull up. He's got the pick and roll game. Just skills. That's his skill set.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
3 more questions for you, Coach. First one goes to Steve Simmons from the Toronto Sun.
Hi, Nick. Coming out of last night, the response to the game around the NBA and from NBA players was a response like I've never seen before. People loved the game. People were amazed by the game. Some are calling it a classic. I've seen all kinds of responses like that. When you come out of a game like that people are looking at this as a classic, and then you've got to walk into tomorrow night, how emotionally do you go from one into the other?
Well, hopefully we handle it okay, Steve. I think it's a good question. I think that there was a one instance last year where I was really concerned. I thought when we won game 7 against Philly last year and we had to get on a plane the next day and go to Milwaukee, I had the sense that we weren't going to be able to get over that emotional high of winning that series on a last second shot. But man, we played great in Milwaukee. We totally outplayed them. Game one, we should have got out of it. We should have gotten out of that series with a 1-0 lead, and the ball just didn't quite bounce our way. A couple times they're late, but we really outplayed them and played great. So got a little experience in it, and then you just got to try to. I don't know, man. To me, I'm trying to take the approach. It was another game. It was another tough game and a tough playoff series, and we happened to win it, but that one's over, and we gotta focus in and figure out how to make some adjustments for tomorrow and figure out how to rev the engines and play with that kind of effort again.
Brad Stevens earlier today referenced that last night's game is why you get into the business. It's why you love sport when you're a kid. It's the kind of thing that gets you excited and makes you want to do this for a living. Will you look, maybe when the series is over or a year from now or something, will you look back at a game like last night and think, this is one of the great experiences of my life?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that, you can't, it's hard when you're kind of in this moment to process it as that. I think, you kind of get all that, but I agree with him. I mean, I think that when the game is so good like that and it's going down and your team's played well and your team's playing well, you're pretty much, you're just trying to do the best you can as the coach over there and keep fighting with them. And you're almost ready to accept whichever way the ball's going to bounce, because the game is such a high level game and it's such a great game, and that it's playing out that way.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. Have a good day.
Going to go next to Stephen Lung from Sportsnet.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Hi, Stephen.
I just wanted to know, kind of looking back on it now, what did you think of that small lineup that you kind of ran out for the 2 overtime periods? It was obviously very effective, but just kind of taking a closer look, what did you like out of it, and what were some of the things you didn't like about it?
Well, I think I really liked what I saw offensively out of the lineup, Stephen. I mean, I was doing it. I think more. We were doing it more for, some better chances defensively, I think. But and it was good there too. It was good. But I liked it at the offensive end, and there was still some things on defense. We made some mistakes, but you got to kind of expect that. We were, again, guys are doing things they're not really used to doing, right? Like OG's become a rim protector every possession for about 5 possessions in a row, and he messed a couple up, and then he'd do a couple good ones, and so. But they competed and they played. And I thought at the other end, it really spread the ball around. Norm was making shots. OG popped, made a shot. OG drive and kick one out. Fred and Kyle. Everybody was there was a lot more, I thought, happening at the offensive end that made us more difficult to guard.
And obviously the result is what you wanted, but I believe earlier in the series you said that anytime you would make an adjustment to anything that Stevens was making, that it would be not durable, right? So with that in mind, given the success of that lineup from last night, would you assume that Stevens is then game planning for that lineup, and then you have to kind of plan ahead for what that counter is?
Well, yeah, I suppose, Stephen. I mean, I'm in the process now of processing everything, right? I'm trying to lay out everything that we've done and what they possibly can counter with, what we can possibly change and counter with, and that is part of a playoff series. So yeah, I guess yes is the answer to your question.
And sorry, just one more. Is that chess match is that fun for you? That seems to be the essence of coaching. And
yeah, for sure. For sure, it's along the lines of what Steve Simmons was asking about being in games like this. Yeah, that chess match is going on 100 miles an hour, right? And it's part of the excitement of what we do.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
You're welcome, Stephen. Have a good day.
You too.
Final question is going to go to Greg Strong from the Canadian Press.
Hey, Coach, when you look at this series as a whole, what do you think you've learned about your team?
Well, I mean, they're tough and they can compete, right? They really do, but I knew that already. I mean, they find a way. We'll work at some things. But I think I knew that already too. I expected this to be a long series. Thank goodness we've played kind of just well enough to make it a long series. Hopefully we can play better tomorrow. But there's some special guys on this team. I've said that a lot that really will compete at a incredible level. There's some IQ on this team, incredible. And there's some connectivity, which is special.